fresh lamb. That is a big lamb, and this is her second time lambing. That one looks a little small, so I'm thinking she's probably got one more somewhere. Bingo! There he is. Orphan lambs are looking good. They're learning that they don't have milk anymore, and I think they're starting to accept it. The newest orphan lambs, they're looking good too. Finally getting some progress on them. Lambs don't really like it when they get tagged, when they get rings on their tail. It's kind of a weird feeling for them, but docking tails is important just to keep them clean and keep them free of infection. We don't have fly problems here in the summer, so in the feedlot, having a short tail just keeps everything clean, and especially at lambing on the ewes, short tail just makes it much easier. These guys don't really love it. They can get kind of dramatic when they have it. I make sure I wait a few minutes after I've put the ring on their tail before I move them into the group pen. The transition into a group pen is very important. You don't want too many lambs in at once, especially when you're transitioning them from out of an individual pen or a jug into a group pen. So making sure that they have that ability to find their mother is really key, because the end goal on this farm is to send everything back outside, and that is a big pen with a lot of lambs in it. So the more prepared everything is before they go out there, because the shock from in the barn outside, especially depending on the weather, is a huge stress load for both the mothers and the lambs. So what I've just done is set up a new group pen. Then I've got 7 mothers with lambs that I'm going to move in here. There's no more ever going to be put in that pen, because they're old enough. Next week they're going to go outside. I set a cutoff for X amount of days, and I try and make it so there's no lambs that are younger than a week that are in the group going outside. Fortunately, the weather for next week looks really good. It's highs of like -5, and that's perfect. I do not want lambs in the mud when they're young, and I don't want lambs going out there when it's -20. And I set up permanent pens along each side of my barn. I'll set up temporary pens if I need to, but then usually I have pens that are ready to go. Unfortunately, today everything is full. Thankfully, I've got 7 or 8 that I can move into a group pen. Then I'll have those pens back open, because by the looks of things, they're going to start lambing here again soon, as it seems like the next cycle is kicking off here. So yesterday I was a little bit behind putting out lambs, because nothing lambed for 3 days. And if there's a bit of a gap, I can use that to my advantage to space out a group as they go outside. So in those 3 days, if I had to put something that was born on the 4th day, it's 4 days younger than everything in there. He's too young to go outside with that group, but they get moved by accident, or I forget about it, or I just send them anyway, and then we have problems outdoors. So the drawback of that is there's 2 ewes and jugs that have been in here for 4 days, and one of them has already jumped out of the pen twice, and they're about ready to climb out. So they will be a little bit rambunctious moving into the next pen. So now those group pens are full, and there's a lot of room still on this side of the barn, but I like to put ewes that haven't lambed in more than one group if I can, or at least split them up. That way, if multiple ewes lamb at once, they have multiple babies, the less area they have mixed together, the better chances I have of keeping the babies straight. So I'm going to put probably a quarter of that pen over here. The other thing is there's still quite a bit of feed bunk space that's not being used, and rather than overcrowd them on the other side of the barn, I want to make sure everything's got room to eat. That's a sign. That's not a good sign right there. That lamb is kind of hunched up. Same with the one at the back there. They have that kind of a hunched up, tight look. That's an indication that mom doesn't have milk. Some of the times it's as soon as they start feeding. The mothers don't really care about their lambs, or if they've been introduced into a new pen, that's just their pouty look until their mother calms down and they get paired up again. a bit of a ram issue in the summer and had some ewe lambs that may or may not have been bred when they shouldn't have. So here's the result of that. So I get to find his mother, and I think I've narrowed it down, but then I have to play cowboy and rope her, and I'm not very good at roping, and sheep don't like being roped. I hate doing this, but that's why you build good fences and keep your rams in. This is a ewe lamb that gave birth today, and I'm going to show you in a second why it's really important to always check every ewe's milk. So I noticed her udder is really looking tight. That means that the lamb hasn't sucked. She's only had one lamb. So when I squeeze against that teat and try and strip it, there's very little milk that comes out. Now I've already done this once today, but there's a bit of a little plug there, whether that's mucus or it just grows over or there's a touch of frostbite on the end of that. It's important that you squeeze that out the best you can. You can see that it's finally milking out there. She's got big teats for a ewe lamb. Probably not going to want to keep any lambs from hers because I don't want that in my flock. Other side feels the same way. Got a hungry lamb here, and this is probably why. So it can be pretty easy to just think if it's a ewe lamb, it's probably got good milk, and she's only had a single, so there's no reason to check it. But if I hadn't in that case, she would have developed mastitis, and the lamb probably would have been toast. A lot of the times if they have singles, I won't supplement them with colostrum, but when they're ewe lambs that give birth, it's kind of crazy, and I just do everything I can to make sure the lamb stays alive, which is half the battle with the ewe lamb. Getting it through the season with a successful lambing, anything that stays alive is good. The second year is when you put the pressure on her. If she doesn't perform in the second year, then she goes. This is a great ewe lamb example here. This lamb was born yesterday. It was hers. She has absolutely no interest in keeping him going. She's been bunting him all day, and you can just tell by the way she's standing. She has less concern for her lamb than she does for getting out of this pen. He's kind of figured out that when she's standing and eating is the time for him to go and start sucking. The concern is when they get into a group pen, he's not going to have those chances. That lamb will never thrive. Ideally, I should probably put him in the orphan pen, but I'm going to give him a shot. So I'll leave them in the jug here for a few days longer, and I'm going to watch her very closely. If she keeps ramming him and doesn't stand for him, then he's going to go out. Hey, get, go on. This guy's not a fan of the tube, but I know for a fact he hasn't sucked yet today, and if he doesn't get his colostrum, he's not gonna make it. And I made sure that he was sucking the whole time going down to be careful I didn't get it in his lungs. The fact that he didn't get any earlier, and he's more than 12 hours old, I'm gonna give him 2 doses. He's not really a fan of it, to be honest. Buddy, you're okay. So I'm holding them with my elbow against my body here. You don't pull them by their neck or push them anywhere, even if it looks like I'm doing that. I got them pinched in a better supportive spot because they struggle and then they can thrash and they can't hurt themselves. As much as he doesn't enjoy this very much, it is for his benefit. And this sheep is determined to eat my microphone. She walked off with one of my gloves, which is really nice of her. I tell you, they are some special animals. Continuing in this evening's theme of difficult animals, this mother gave birth to twins. I know for a fact they're hers, and she's rejected one of them. She keeps ramming it into the wall. Oh, she's got them sleeping together. That's at least good. Usually they separate them in the jug and then they lay with the one they want. So I sprayed them down with my favorite snake oil, lamb adoption musk. This stuff doesn't work the crap. Might have had hope with her. She's jumped out of the pen 3 times today, which is always nice to see. So the fact that she's jumped out of the pen and she's rejected one of her lambs, she is on the list for trucking. But I gotta give those lambs colostrum, so we'll see what happens here. I'm gonna turn you into a sweater. That's your lamb. Learn to love it. Oh, sheep like this tick me off. She's already injured her lamb. It's hurt its back leg. She doesn't care one bit about them. This is her third lambing. I don't know what the problem is. Now that guy's hurt. But she was showing signs of loving him, so... Oh, jeez. He's a trooper. What a terrible sheep. Yeah, she's bunting both of her lambs now. And then she starts licking them. She's very confused. You are gonna make a good sweater. I hate animals like that. There's no place for that on this farm. This is one from this morning. She had a gronk of a lamb. I had her and then one other over here. This one here only had a single. They're big lambs and that's great, but one lamb doesn't pay the bills, so I just check to make sure they got enough milk to feed the lambs they have on them. And if they have good milk, I don't bother supplementing colostrum. A single should be able to figure it out, especially these guys are big. But if they have a single, they're not going to be here next year. I'm convinced this one to stay laying down here. Nope, she's not down for that. Okay. One teat. She's got good milk on both sides, so that's nice. That might change my mind a little bit if they got really good milk and they're a good mother. It's just frustrating when they only have one. A lot of that comes down to genetics and feed, and I know these guys were fed well, so if they only produce one lamb with the nutrition that they've been getting, that's way too expensive. You will go broke if you have sheep like that. 2 or 3, and then we're talking. Another thing I've found in some cases is once a lamb picks a side of the udder to suck on, that seems to be the side they keep coming back to. And when you have singles, and the ewe I just checked is a great example of that. One half hasn't been used at all. And as soon as the side of the udder isn't being used or builds up excessively, that again can start to develop mastitis and other issues. So singles all around, especially on my system with Rideau's, they shouldn't be happening to begin with, and if they do, I don't want them to happen again, so that ewe goes down the road. There are some cases when trying to balance the udder out, perhaps another lamb's mother starts losing her milk and the lamb figures out he's got to go and steal from other sheep to try and survive. Those are cases where it's nice to have a ewe that's producing a lot of milk and not feeding lambs. It's just something that's nice to have, though. It doesn't actually pay the bills, and that's what makes it tough. So while I really don't like singles, there are a few benefits to it, but none of them actually pay the bill. So I'm just about to go in for the night. Everything's calm. It's a big difference from when I first started making videos and the sheep were screaming all the time. We've really had some heart-to-hearts, and they've learned to keep it down when I'm filming, so I appreciate that. I did notice today this ewe is starting to show signs of prolapse. Hi guys. So when I have prolapses, I have in the past tried harnesses and different fancy things. To be completely honest, I've never had luck with it, and I have way too many other things to look after than to manage a prolapsing sheep. I just call the vet and we C-section it, and it's about 10:30 on Saturday night, and tomorrow being Sunday, I'm gonna get billed extra time for a call out. So she doesn't look too bad at all. I just saw the symptoms today. I might give her a shot of anti-inflammatory overnight, then I'll probably request the vet to come do a C-section. The vet bills around $300 or $400 usually, but if I can save the ewe, she's probably worth $200, and each lamb should be worth around $200 to $250. If it all goes well, then it pays. I did a C-section earlier this year. We pulled 5 dead ones out and the ewe passed away. So that one was a bit of a heartbreak. We're gonna try and avoid those. You guys have anything to add? Okay. Thank you. With that, I'm gonna go in and call it a night. I appreciate you guys watching very much. Thank you.